What is going on, boys and girls? Welcome back to the Gaelic Gridiron podcast. We are doing a draft special for the week that's in it. It is NFL draft week. The draft gets underway a Thursday night at 1 o'clock in the morning, Irish time. I probably won't be awake for it. I know these boys probably will. Delighted to be joined by my good friend, Stephen Twist Kearns. And delighted to be joined by a new member of the team, Kevin Kelly. Kev, how are you? How is the weather over in Nashville?
Yeah, good lads. Thanks for having me. Yeah, weather's good here. We're ready for the party this week. So yeah, should be good.
Kev, for those who are wondering what party Kev is referring to, Kevin is lucky enough to be going to the Titans draft party on Thursday night. So we're going to try and hook him up with some interviews and some players over there. We'll get to the Titans draft pick in a few minutes, but I suppose what we're going to do here is just basically we're going to go through the top 10 slots in the draft. We're going to look at potential picks. We're going to discuss trades. And we're just going to have a bit of crack doing it. Obviously, it's a very exciting time of the year, I suppose. Aside from the draft, aside from the combine, there is very limited football action that we actually get between the Super Bowl finishing and the start of training camp in the summer. So we have to seize every opportunity to talk about the NFL. So look, we'll get into it. So we're starting off with the Bears at number 1, and I think it's a pretty much a foregone conclusion here that it's going to be Caleb Williams. Like, there's no way it's not Caleb Williams, right?
No, if they take anyone other than Caleb Williams, like, they're asking to forfeit the season. Like, no one under center. Like, he's billed as a once in a lifetime generational talent. Like all the first round pick quarterbacks are. Whether he turns out that to be or not, we'll see. But if the Bears pass up on him, not only will they look foolish, but it'll mess up the whole draft for everyone else because everyone will panic and they won't know what's going on.
Yeah, I agree with that. Can't see it going really any other way really than Caleb Williams.
There was some speculation online that I saw that Caleb was potentially trying to get out of being picked the first overall pick with the way he was dressing and the way he was acting and that kind of thing. Kev, do you think there's any credit to that kind of talk?
The only reason I think that could have been true is that having Cliff Kingsbury there at USC with him for the last year, like, they obviously worked very closely. I'm like, them being the second pick, that's the only way I could see it making any sort of sense to me, that he'd want to work with Kingsbury again. But I mean, it's out of his control, like, he can do and say what he wants at the combine or not do but I just don't see that any credibility in that,
And could it
Exactly. I was going to say, could it be a similar scenario to what Eli Manning did, coming out before his draft and saying that if the Chargers drafted him, he wouldn't play for them?
Yeah, again, I think that there's already people, like, I've heard people already talking how they don't like how he's acting, like his attitude, all of that stuff. But from the most reports, like, his teammates all love him. He's like a great leader. Like you said, he is a generational talent. Now, whether he fills them boots or not, but I think that the Bears, like, it just would be the mistake of the draft if they don't do it.
He can dress what he wants, act like he wants, as long as he throws touchdowns, wins games, and eventually gets into the Super Bowl. Why care?
And we've seen multiple quarterbacks coming out in the past couple of years who have had the same level of talent, if not a greater talent, who have turned out to be not so successful in the NFL. Is Caleb Williams different? Is he going to live up to his billing and live up to his hype, or could we see him potentially being another bust or not, I suppose, panning out the way the Bears would hope?
I think, like, just seeing the stats of the Bears throughout the years, they've never had a 4,000-yard season in a quarterback. That in itself tells me there's a problem within the organization. I don't think it can be put on one player. It's going to be tough. Again, he's going to get drafted one way or another. Whether he kind of fills them boots can be on him, or I think that the organization has a lot to do with how successful a generational talent like that can actually be.
And in fairness, there was an article where a company done a study of draft picks over a 10-year period of first round draft picks. Only like 1% make it to the Hall of Fame. Only less than 20% are considered great, as in they make it past their 5th-year deal with the same team and then continue on to so a first round draft pick is never guaranteed. It's never going to save your team, but you kind of have to pull the trigger. You can't like pass up on someone like that, because you pass up on someone like that, you could end up regretting it for the rest of your days. Like, the Ryan Leaf situation. You pick Ryan Leaf or you pick Eli Manning or Peyton Manning. Who'd you pick?
Moving on then to the number 2 pick, and this is a slot. So we're agreed then. We're going Caleb Williams number 1. We're locking in that pick right now for
that's
the Gaelic Gridiron mock draft. Okay, Caleb Williams number 1. I almost forgot about that we're gonna have to actually back these picks up after the draft. Looking at the number 2 slot then, where the Commanders are picking. I almost said the Redskins, which they are not anymore. And it's a very comparable player in the form of Jaden Daniels out of LSU. Twist, what are we thinking here? Is this pretty much a guaranteed pick as well?
Yeah, I mean the Commanders have a lot of needs. They need quarterback, need edge rusher, wide receiver, inside offensive lineman, and linebacker, to name a few positions. The rest of those you can find depth in the draft. You kind of have to take Jalen Daniels. I've seen him compared to Lamar Jackson. He's got the really physical, strong arm. He's got a great presence in the pocket, and he also he can extend plays. Like I said, like Lamar Jackson, you can't pass up on that, and that will play well in command, like with the Commanders, because Sam Howell last year was the most sacked quarterback.
20. I think it's something like 26 sacks I was reading before we came on.
So you need a quarterback who can avoid being sacked, because until they get that O-line addressed, the quarterback's going to be running for his life. So Jalen Daniels is a perfect fit for their system and their situation, more like.
I think that Drake May is in the conversation purely just because the way I look at Daniels' season last year, like he just had star receivers all around him. Like LSU was they just have receivers coming out the seams. So I think that Drake May has a little more. I think he just has a little more all-round talent than Daniels does. I think Daniels was carried a little bit by his receivers. Not to say that obviously his accuracy and his arm strength is crazy, but I still think Drake May has a little more to offer Washington's system, and especially the way Kingsbury played, like his play style.
I mean, they could really go. I think it could really go either way between these two quarterbacks. So I guess it comes down to how the Commanders feel. I mean, Drake May certainly would have had, I think personally, from watching a little bit of North Carolina last year, potentially less weapons on offense than. I mean, you can't really compare North Carolina and LSU in terms of offensive weapons. So, what are we thinking? Are we leaning towards Jaden Daniels, or are we leaning towards Drake May here at number 2? I'm personally going Jaden Daniels, but we'll see what the majority says.
I mean, that opens up a draft spot down the list where I have Jaden Daniels, or where I have Daniels elsewhere. So I mean, I'm happy to leave him there and open up the door for Drake May as well.
Kev's going Drake May. Twist, what are you feeling?
I'm sticking with Daniels, I think.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, Kev, majority rules. We are locking in Jaden Daniels at number 2. I meant to say, lads, is someone writing these picks down so we can actually...
I was
gonna send a text around here to say to you, make sure someone starts writing these down so we actually we can remember what we said afterwards.
When Drake May gets picked number 2,
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I wouldn't blame him. So this is an interesting one now at number 3, because it's the Patriots, and it's the first year in 20 plus years that Bill Belichick hasn't been running point in the draft. Gerard Mayo is the head coach. It's his first time as a head coach, first time running a draft. And we had a little prep call last night, and Twist, you made the interesting point, observation that the Patriots might continue their trend of trading out of their first round and trading down. So is this going to be is this going to be a quarterback, or are they going to pull a Belichick and pull out of that spot?
I think to be honest, it's a 50-50. Like Mayo did say in an interview that they're open to trading out of the spot. And they could move down a couple of spots and still get a quarterback. But I think they'd be amiss to not pull the trigger on Drake May.
That's who I have at number 3. I have quarterbacks for the top 3 spots.
He's very similar to Josh Allen. And you cut in the division where Josh Allen has basically beat you consistently since Brady has left. You can't really roll into the season with Zappi as the starter. You can't miss out on a quarterback like that. But then again, you could just harvest draft picks, move down a couple of spots, and still get, another quarterback. But I think they may pull the trigger on Drake May here. What do you think, Kev?
So I actually had Marvin Harrison Jr. I think
you're there. You're just the. I love this. Kev is just going against the grain with every single pick.
No. I have rationale.
Go on, tell me your rationale. So I'm dying to hear this.
I do think that for a big part of it, I think that the Patriots have to make a pick based on where the fans are coming from. The fans haven't got anything for the past 5-6 years. Like it's been a rough couple of years for them. So I think that now either they trade down. I think they either trade down, which I think would be a mistake for them, honestly. I think taking Marvin Harrison Jr. is just, it gives the fans something to be excited about. When the Vikings drafted JJ, right? Like we got excited about that. I think that you can build or you can trade out for a quarterback down the line. I just don't think that missing out on an opportunity like Marvin Harrison Jr. just is a standout, and he could be someone that changes the organization up there in New England. So I'm just leaning on that where they need to do something for the fans that makes sense as well.
Yeah, I can see that. The only question I would have would be, would Harrison be happy being stuck with possibly Zappi for the season? Because, he's had flashes, he can throw a deep ball, but, he's a rookie, but he's coming in with, he's Marvin Harrison Jr., he's got that swag behind him, he's got that ego. Why wouldn't he? He's probably, he is the best wide receiver in this draft. So I can see the logic of the Patriots taking him to give the fans that hope, because we've had since Brady left.
Yeah, that star player.
Yeah, Belichick's gone. It's basically, as you say, they would say, this is not your daddy's Patriots. Like, this is a whole new Patriots. So
it is.
It's an interesting observation, actually, Kevin, because it's like you say, Twist, this isn't your dad's Patriots. I mean, and aside from Brady, I can't really think of any Patriot who has stood out in, they've never had that big, flashy kind of weapon. So I think this could be actually, Kev, you could be onto something here with this pick. I mean, take potentially the best receiver in the draft with your top pick, and then worry about getting a quarterback later on in the draft.
I do think so. And I think, obviously they took Mac Jones on as one of their highest picks in recent years, and he's still on a rookie contract. That doesn't end until end of next year. So it's like, are you going to take another quarterback while you already have someone you've drafted very high up, and then potentially make the same mistake?
But Jones is in Jacksonville now.
Yeah. But he was their most recent rookie,
So are we happy to go with what do you reckon, Twist? I'm staying neutral on this one. Are you happy to will we go with Marvin Harrison for the Patriots? Are we leaning that way, or has Kev convinced you?
He has a kind of I'll stick with Marvin Harrison. His different viewpoint on it. I'm just looking at they need someone to lead the ship to compete against the Dolphins and the Bills, So I suppose the Jets if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. I'll switch and go Harrison
There we
Jr.
go. Number 3, Patriots are taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Congratulations, Kev. So looking at the Cardinals now, at pick number 4, how are we feeling about this one, Kev?
I'm going for another wide receiver. I think I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors. Again, I think just the Cardinals have that. They have Kyler Murray there, right? So I'm like, give him one more season, right? You know, you have to with the talent that he is and the talent that he has shown. I think give him a season with a really good rookie or wide receiver who's trying to like prove himself. You know, I think it could be a good match for them. So yeah, I'm gonna go Malik Neighbors on that one from LSU.
Well, I originally had Harrison Jr. here, but obviously he's gone off the board. I can see the Cardinals trading down out of a spot. You know, they do need wide receiver, defensive lineman, offensive lineman, edge, and cornerback. So there is a couple of spots. I can see them, the logic of going Neighbors, but I can also see them possibly, going Quincy Mitchell, taking a top cornerback to give that defense something to keep them in games. So for me, it would be 50-50 Neighbors and Mitchell.
On all the draft projections and boards that I've looked at, it seems to be that Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors are quite interchangeable in terms of how they're being viewed and how they're being compared. So they're both similar receivers. They both can stretch that field with the speed. They're both big physical receivers. So it'll be interesting to see which one goes off the board first. But I do think that in order to save, or maybe not save, but certainly give Kyler Murray a chance of success this season, he has all the physical attributes. I mean, they need that big receiver. They need that top talent as well. So I think Malik Neighbors could be a good shout here. So let's lock it in with the Cardinals going Malik Neighbors. Moving on then to the Chargers, and I actually had the Chargers picking Marvin Harrison here, so I'm obviously wrong. He's obviously he is off our board. He's been already selected in our mock draft. So Twist, what do you reckon the Chargers are going to do here?
This is one I had them also down for competing for a cornerback like Mitchell. But there's a rumor I've been seeing floating around. I don't know how true it is. This is one that Kev may or may not like. That the Vikings trade up to take the Chargers spot, and they take JJ McCarthy at quarterback.
Yeah,
that's one rumor I'm seeing. The other rumor I'm seeing is that the Chargers trade Herbert to the Vikings. That's one I'm seeing floating around. But, in terms of what the Chargers actually need rather than fantasies, again, a whole host, running back, cornerback, tackle, tight end, corner. They could go for someone like Mitchell. They could also take, Brock Bowers, like a really explosive tight end, to give Justin Herbert, another piece that he can move around the field and cause matchup nightmares. Now, that is a high jump up the board for where Brock Bowers is projected to be picked. But I can see the Chargers pulling it. They want to they want to recapture the era of Antonio Gates at tight end. I think.
So I'm going to throw kind of a cat amongst the pigeons here. I was thinking Joe Alt from Notre Dame in here. I think that, having that protection, like, he just seems like a good fit. I do like that talk of the Vikings trading to get Justin Herbert. Now, the only issue there is just the capital that we have. Like, after signing Sam Darnold, like, we're gonna have to sign JJ on a big contract. Like, I just don't know if we're gonna have the numbers there to squeeze Justin Herbert in. So that's
it's also whether the Chargers want to leave like 180 million dead money over their salary cap.
Exactly. Like, I don't know where you fill them numbers in.
Yeah.
If you trade out of Justin
Herbert.
Herbert.
Fantasy at this point.
Oh yeah. The only reason it makes sense is obviously Jim Harbaugh. That's the only way that makes sense. But again, I still think that Harbaugh is probably in pretty good communication with JJ and wondering what he wants to do, So,
and what quarterback doesn't want to play with JJ?
Yeah. So,
but you think Joe Alt?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Joe Alt. I think that he's someone that they definitely need someone in that position, and they just
Yeah.
he's too good not to
Herbert
take. I
definitely needs
think
more protection
in
to
a high
again
round like that.
unlock his potential and have time to actually. I mean, he has never really lived up to his potential. We've seen flashes, obviously, but I don't think the Chargers have really given him the pieces to unlock that offense. I'm not gonna lie, Kev. As a Notre Dame fan, I really hope that Joel somehow falls to number 20, but it's not happening. That's fantasy land. So I like the pick of Joe Alt here at this spot at number 5. And Twist, we happy with that? Yeah, that's a good call. That's a
Yeah,
good call.
I'll
So
go with Joel.
Joe Alt at number 5 for the Chargers. Then we're looking at the Giants next. I actually had Joe Alt going here to give Daniel Jones protection, similar to what he would do for Justin Herbert in Los Angeles. But now I'm at a loss. So Twist, I'm going to turn it over to you and see who you think do you think the Giants could potentially go quarterback here, replace Daniel Jones?
I I had originally had Neighbors here to give Daniel Jones an explosive target that he sorely needs. Like he needs a wide receiver like of that caliber to bail him out, to give him like to basically get the Giants fans to get behind him and stop ragging on him. Now the other option is the Giants may trade up a couple of spots to grab a quarterback. They may trade up to the Cardinals. That'd be the most logical one to jump up there, grab a quarterback. If they do that, then that's the end of Daniel Jones in New York. Um, but yeah, I mean, like they also need like an edge. They need their defense. They need someone on the opposite side to help them. So I think Dallas Turner might go with the Giants. Like a really
I had Dallas Turner down as my top pick for them, actually, right there. So the only other option I might throw at you guys would be either to take Roma Duze or Brian Thomas Jr. LSU. I think he's definitely undervalued in terms of the draft. I think he might be he could even be above Roma Duze on my board, but yeah, I think Dallas Turner is what makes most sense for the Giants right now. But that's
He
just like
also he would
another
pair well on
option.
the edge with Kayvon
I don't
Thibodeau
know
on
what
the
he
other
does.
side. I know I've completely butchered that name, but I think it would help to have it would certainly help to partner him with an experienced edge rusher that the Giants already have, and allow for some matchups as well. It's interesting. A defensive player never even really occurred to me at the Giants with the spot they're picking at. So that's what we're thinking. Dallas Turner. Okay, there we go. Lock it
Yeah, I
in.
think I'm good with
Moving
that.
on to the Titans now, and I'm going to throw a spanner in the works here, right? I'm interested to see your reactions. I have the Titans picking Blake Corum out of Michigan at this spot. Kev, I see you reeling in shock there. Uh, Well,
Well, I
the
just
only
wasn't
the
expecting it.
primary reason I have him here
That's
is
all.
because they have a massive gaping hole in their offense with Derrick Henry being traded to the Ravens during free agency or being sent to the Ravens. So, and like I've watched Blake Corum play at Michigan, and I know running backs are becoming an increasingly undervalued commodity in the NFL. But Blake Corum, I think, is first round talent. So have at that.
I don't see the era of first round running backs has gotten a lot rarer these days. They're incorrectly labeled mainly as like disposable, you know pure second round guys. Like get rid of them after 4 years. Don't give them a 5th-year option. You know, and like it is still a league that a rushing attack can do like horrific damage. I mean, look when Jalen Warren and Najee Harris got going because we're Steelers. I mean, you're a Steelers fan, Jimmy. That two-headed punch of those guys proved that running backs, whether they're first round or undrafted, if they're in the right system and with the right team, can do some devastation. So I like that idea. My other pick would have been for Rome Meduze, wide receiver. Give them, that explosive wide receiver that they can lock up early and then, figure out the quarterback situation, like whether Will Levis is going to stay there and whether Tannehill is, going to like show, like stay there, and or even Malik Willis. You've got three quarterbacks that could be someone to like pair off with him. But even if the quarterback situation remains in flux, like if like Levis is the bottle starter, giving him someone like Rome to throw to. Because Levis has a great deep ball. We've seen it last year when he was dropping bombs to DeAndre Hopkins, like when he got the start. He's got that arm. He's got the ability to get a deep ball. So that would be my pick.
Okay, go ahead.
I like that Rome Duze pick, but I also kind of had Brock Bowers in there. I thought he would be a good. He was next on my list. I was like, I think that as a he could be a 2-for-1 there. He gives that bit of extra protection for Levis, who again I think he is quite talented, right? And I think that he could be a good, solid quarterback for the Titans. I don't think he'll be a standout by any means, but I think that having Bowers in there gives him that extra bit of talent to throw to, somebody who can still block if needs be. So that I went Bowers. He was my top pick there, but I'd be definitely happy to go with a Duze on that one as well.
I'm going with the majority here. The Washington receiver is going to the Tennessee Titans. My Blake Corum pick was definitely a wild card, so I mostly threw that in for the crack just to see how you would react, and I got the reaction that I wanted. But I do think that, I mean, in a draft that is really starved of running backs, I think Blake Corum is definitely he should be, if he doesn't go in the first round, he should definitely be a very high second round pick. So the Falcons are up next, and I have Bo Nix being picked by the Falcons here, purely because they need a quarterback.
Ooh.
Was that a good O or a bad O, Kev? I can't tell.
Yeah.
True.
Well, they just picked up Kirk, and Kirk is he already said he wants to retire there. So, and he looks, to be honest, he looks like a player that still has 3 years in him. So I'm like, what? I don't know if you want to come out of the draft and go to a team like that where they're going to be dead set on Kirk because of the amount of money they've had to spend on him.
I mean, I can see the logic, because like in the NFL, it's either throw the rookie out there straight away, see what he's made of, or get him killed, like Pickett, Burrow got killed, or have him sit for a couple of years behind a veteran, like Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for how long, and Brady sat behind,
Drew Bledsoe.
What's his name? That's it. Bledsoe for a long, like Roethlisberger sat behind Maddox. There's all of these other rookies. Sometimes it's better to sit a rookie for a couple of years, so I can see the logic behind that. Because when you have someone like Kirk, he's a great player. He's very, very rarely injured. He's such a, everyone's seen the quarterback show. He's such a kind, caring person. He's willing to help anyone. So I can see pulling the trigger on a quarterback like that and sitting behind Kirk for 2-3 seasons, give him that experience, let him soak up that knowledge from Kirk, get him ready for the future of the team. However, even with their quarterback issues, you can't really turn down like a wide receiver like Brian Thomas either. That would be one I had penciled in there. You can't let that slide off the board, even if Ritter has flashes. He has good games, he's bad games. He can throw a deep ball, he can throw an accurate pass when he needs to. So do you want to keep rolling with Ritter and not give him any weapons? And I'll not keep rolling with Kirk. Not give him any more weapons, and then have Ritter be the backup, or have a promising rookie be the backup.
Kev, what are you thinking?
Go from there.
So this was probably one of my wilder picks, but this was just to kind of strengthen up their offensive line. But I had Talise Fuaga. He's Oregon State. Just looking at his tape, he's quick, he's strong. I think he's just what Kirk needs. Kirk needs as much time as he can get, right? He can get the ball out quick, but when when that pocket starts to collapse, like he just freaks out. So I'm like, what can Atlanta do to kind of reinforce him in that position where he'll just have a lot more protection? I think Fuaga's like he's one of my like favorite in terms of the offensive line guys. Like he really is. So he would have been my first pick. I don't think that it doesn't sound like they're high on trying to get a really top wide receiver, but
Okay, well, I'm going to defer to you, gentlemen, here if you can agree on a pick.
Yeah, I'll defer to Kev, but we'll pencil it in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
happy with that.
Go Fuaga.
It's definitely an interesting pick and one that makes a lot of sense, especially given the fact that Kirk is coming into a new system. He'll have to get comfortable fast if the Falcons want their results. We are running a little bit short on time, gents. I have to jump off in a few minutes, so I'm going to fly through the next two because I want to get your picks for our respective teams. So I'm going Brock Bowers to the Bears at number 9, purely for the fact that they're more than likely going to have a new quarterback if the world doesn't implode on Thursday night. And I think Brock Bowers, obviously, he's the best tight end in the draft. And I think there's a lot more value and stock in tight ends in the league at the minute, even more so than running back, which is interesting. And Brock Bowers, I mean, he was employed heavily in both the run and the passing game at Georgia. He's a massive receiving target. He can block in line. And I think it makes sense for the Bears to bolster their offense and bring in a key piece and a target for their young quarterback. Would I be fairly on track there, Kev's twist?
I like that. I like that pick a lot, actually. The only other thing I had was Jared Versey of Florida State. I think just kind of a bit more well-rounded rather than going two attacking players in their first. I think they need somebody in there that can kind of tighten up their defense a little bit. But yeah, that was
okay.
Probably,
yeah.
Rookie keep the quarterback on his feet. Pair the two of them together for their career where possible.
No, I think you're right on that one, though. I think Bowers is probably a good pick. I think he goes in the top 10.
I got one right. Happy
right
days. Delighted with that. Yeah. And finally, we had the Jets at number 10. Before we jumped on, interestingly, Twist, you put a message into a group that Zach Wilson is potentially being traded to the Broncos. So that's He's gone. Okay, well there you go. That's something that's interesting to keep an eye on and see how that develops. But in terms of their pick, I have them going offensive line, and I have them going J.C. Latham out of Alabama. Kev, I'll go to you first and get your thoughts on that.
Did we got rid of? Did we get rid of? No, Byron Murphy is second. I have him as defensive tackle there. I think that's just. I think that Rodgers is gonna be a bit of an ass about his receivers, as he always is. So I think that the less pressure they can put on a receiver, or the less pressure that is put on a receiver at the Jets organization right now is the best thing they can do. So I don't think going for a top level wide receiver it's just not on my board, just because we've seen how Rodgers is,
Christian Haynes there to keep Rodgers vertical, because even with their offensive line being okay, they still let players through to torment Zach Wilson all last season. Obviously Zach Wilson isn't great. He did abandon the pocket too early a lot and panicked quite a bit. You might not get that with Rodgers, but for an aging quarterback, give him as much protection as possible is the logic I had. Especially that ACL. Not the ACL,
perfect. Achilles. Christian Haynes.
I do like that.
Remind me where he's from. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure Kev will know.
I didn't write down in college.
So to finish up, I'm interested in hearing about our own NFL draft hopes for our respective teams. Kev, you're a Vikings fan. I think their Vikings are currently picking at number 11, if my memory serves me correctly, so just outside the top 10. Do you see them trading up, reaching a little bit, or how are you feeling?
It just depends. I think you could take a risk and hope that, not all of those quarterbacks are taken. Like if the top 5 quarterbacks are taken in the first 10 rounds, I don't know what we would do, because at that point you're kind of left with the best of the rest, really, and I don't know if we want that. So, but also I'm like, will JJ McCarthy go in the top 15? I don't know. I want to say that I want us to trade up to secure the spot, but I'm also like, we're going to give away a lot of potential talent by getting rid of 11 and 23. So I'm ideally for me, stick with getting JJ at 11 and then adding more pieces to, our defense there. Brian Flores is building what seems like one of the best defenses in the league right now. So yeah, I think that would be mine. Would just
Makes sense.
Stick at 11 and
Twist,
don't risk anything by giving
I have another
away too much
curveball
talent.
for you, and this is also going to be my pick on the Steelers podcast in a few minutes. I'm going with Cooper DeJean out of Iowa at number 1 for the Steelers, because I think cornerback is more of a pressing requirement than center at the minute for us.
I could see that, like, you've only got Joey Porter Jr. on one side, and
Dante something or
and
other.
then Steve Smith got traded for Deontay from Carolina. Yeah, but I would love them to draft Powers from Oregon center, and like need him, the Oregon Ducks center.
Yeah.
We need him like to anchor that line. We need hopefully him to be the next Pouncey. But if they're not going to trade out, like the press conference the other day, they weren't really sold on, talking about moving in or out, up or down. Well, not moving, like they're really like sold on picking or hinting at what they're going to pick or what their priority is. They're just like let the board like lay where it's going to lay. So part of me thinks they're going to trade down, and the wild card I'm going to throw in is they're going to trade down to San Francisco spot, give San Francisco the 20th. Possibly
I really like that idea.
Well,
I love that idea, and we badly need another receiver at the level of what we had. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not. Then this is a conversation for a different day. I still don't love the fact that we got rid of Deontay Johnson at all. I think it was a highly questionable move, both from a production level and he was a fan favorite. I mean, he is an underrated receiver, but I think he's still one of the better receivers out there. And I don't really love what we've brought in terms of replacing him. I mean, Van Jefferson, like, seriously, like, fucking that the Rams cast off, basically. So I love the idea of the Steelers trading out of 20 down with San Francisco, and yeah, Brandon Ayuk could be the dream. I'm sticking with Cooper DeJean. I've nailed that flag to the, and as you can tell, I'm a fan of the left field moves, but I just think that it's the first time in a long time that, and I hate to say it, that a white cornerback has been this good. And I've watched some of his, some tape. Like he can play with the best. I mean, he's physical, he's big, he's quick. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. He's going to stay up, Kev. You're going to be at the Titans draft party. You're on Nashville time at the minute, so you're going to have to tell us how that goes. Looking forward to seeing. All the you better be doing some Instagram stuff. We can all keep an eye on you. Make sure to, if you are listening, make sure to give Kev a follow on Instagram so you can get a first-hand look at an NFL draft party. Twist. I'm not sure if we're going to have a Steelers draft party here. It's not looking likely at the minute. But are you going to stay up and watch it?
I mean, I can't really not. Like, I've done it for most years. Even with a kid, I might just stay up anyway, like watch it. So for the next morning for lack of sleep and, once the 20th pick
Just
comes
don't
in,
go to bed. Just
which will probably
keep
be about
going.
4 a.m. So I could really, realistically, if you go to bed till like 2 or 3. No, if we go to bed and get up at 2 or 3 in the morning just in time for the pick, unless they do something wild like trade
Yeah,
up,
look
like
what happened
10 or
there.
so
No, I
spots,
don't
but
think
that's not going
I
to
don't
happen.
think
The
that's
last
going to
time
happen.
them bullshit like what
Lads,
happened
look, this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your knowledge, Kev. Welcome to the Gaelic Gridiron team officially. It's official now. You're stuck with us now. You've been on the podcast. Your name is signed. Your name is signed in blood. Thank you so much for your expertise, Twist. Thank you as
No,
always.
it's
Always a pleasure to
always
see your
be here.
face.
Thanks for having me, lad.
Lads, for those listening, we will have these picks up on our social media sometime this week. So keep an eye out there at Gaelic Gridiron on X, on Instagram, Facebook, etc. And lads, enjoy the draft, and I'll talk to you soon.